Shalom, shalom, everyone. How y'all doing? It is late, and because this is so important, I decided I will go ahead and do a late night post. And I want to share something that I think will, again, impact where we are as it relates to the times that we are living in. So again, I want to welcome you to Awake and Resurrect Truth. And our topic today, we're going to focus, is there a Jewish convert connection to the Khazar Empire? Is there a Jewish convert connection to the Khazar Empire? Because of the anti-Semitic defamation, and because of the things that are happening right now as relates to the anti-Semitic push, where is all this coming from? Where is all this coming from? Why is it that laws can be passed because of what people may say, or what truth may be coming out on a particular subject, on a particular group of people? I thought we were living in a nation where you can talk, you can share your opinions about things, as relates to freedom of speech. But apparently things are shifting, things are changing, and the freedom that we think we have perhaps is not the freedom that you think. Matter of fact, I know it's not the freedom that we think. And that's a lesson or a story for another day. What does that freedom mean? So again, it's late night. So what we're going to do, I shared this earlier, so I'm going to get straight to this, and we're going to talk about this and glean from a particular source that I have that actually points and paints a interesting narrative. And so we have a prophecy that is written in the Bible, and that prophecy is concerning Japheth, and I call it Japheth Prophecy of Genesis 9:27. Japheth Prophecy of Genesis 9:27. And these books that you see here before you, the controversy of these particular authors and what they pose has been a subject of debate. It has been a subject of very hot topics and hot matters of conversation, whereas trying to bring some light and shedding light on the European community as relates to the European Jews, what we know today as Ashkenazi Jews. And so as we get into this, again, these authors that you see on the page here have given some information in their particular books that they've wrote, and this has caused quite a stir in the Ashkenazi community, and it's catching momentum. And now there's an awakening that's happening in the African diaspora, or what we would call African Americans specifically, that there's an awakening that's happening to identity of these individuals, to the point to where now there is such momentum that I believe partly that the anti-Semitic push is partly because of the awakening that's happening in the African diaspora as it relates to who we are, as relates to being Hebrews and being connected to Jacob. So with that being said, it has caused me to do greater research on who I am and greater research on the connection of the diaspora, those who were scattered all over the world, just as the prophecy states. All right, there's a prophecy that states that the children of Israel, the tribe of Judah, and the northern and the southern tribe, Judah, Israel, will be scattered all over the world. All right, and this scattering will be by force. And so we know that there was a scattering with the Arab slave trade, and then there was a scattering with the Atlantic slave trade. So we know that there was a scattering of Israel from the land of Israel through the Assyrian Empire, which you can read that in 2 Kings chapter 17. All right, we know Babylon also was a part of the scattering of Israel. Okay, we know Rome was a part of the scattering of Israel. We know the Greeks were a part of the scattering of Israel. And so now, with that being said, we have a group of people that have come forth and taken the status of Israel. And of course, they end up in Germany, which we know them as the German Jews, or again as the Ashkenazi Jews. And then these particular books that you see on the screen here begins to give us a different take concerning these individuals and concerning the Ashkenazi Jews as relates to being converts. So this is what these particular books say. And it, again, over time, it has begun to catch momentum, and especially in the African community of those who subscribe to be Hebrew Israelites. All right. And so I believe this is why the anti-Semitic, with Kyrie Irving coming out, stating some things a few years back, or a year or so back, and he promoted a book called Hebrews to Negroes, and that caused quite a stir. And of course, he had to come and repent, state some things. And again, all of this is a part of the anti-Semitic rhetoric that really began to catch momentum. Now, again, you can talk about anybody, but you can't talk about the Ashkenazi Jews. So what is the issue? What is the problem? And again, here's the elephant in the room. So the African Americans, again, who are claiming this as relates to being Hebrew Israelites, and I'm saying, just for the purpose of this video, all right, and I can truly say that it's not a claim, all right, this is not a claim. There's so much historical documents. There's so much historical truth to the connection of not every single American as relates to African American, okay, but a great majority actually have connections, blood ties to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I know this is far-fetched for most people. It is something that is perhaps maybe unheard of for others. And this is why there's so much controversy right now. This is why there's so much controversy. And so I'm going to talk about it. And I don't want to take a lot of time here because we talked about this earlier today. So I really want this video to be maybe, more than 20, no more than 30 minutes. Really, if I can keep it less, so we're already at 10 minutes. So looking at what we have on the screen here, again, we have these authors that wrote about the Khazar Empire and its heritage, Arthur Koestler, the 13th tribe, and then you have Shlomo Sand, who wrote the bottom half of the books that you see. And these are Jews, okay? These are what we would call Ashkenazi Jews that actually talk about this. So these authors actually were, or at one time, called or accepted the Ashkenazi Jewish way. All right, they were Jew. They are Jews. Okay, but of course we see here Shalomo, and I think this is in the middle of the bottom right here. It says why, or I think it's why or how I stopped being a Jew. All right. So again, he done some research and things of that nature. So I've looked at videos and I've read some historical documents. But here's the thing that I want to share with you tonight. I happened to come across a document, a historical book that I had never heard of. I was actually doing some research myself concerning who I was and my connection to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? So I'm doing my own connection to the biblical Israel, okay? And in my research of who I was, and I'm going to talk about that too in a later video, and just show you some of the steps that took place that led me down this path, all right, and to where now I'm strongly convinced. All right, I'm strongly convinced. It's no more a belief. It's a I know now. I know I have a direct tie to the tribe of Israel, and specifically to the tribe of Joseph and Ephraim, actually. All right, but I have blood connection to the tribe of Judah. I have blood connection to the tribe of Gad. Okay, when I did my research of DNA, and partly in connection to that started me on that journey, God himself began to communicate with me when I was reading in the book of Genesis chapter 48. And so again, we'll talk about that some other day, but let's get into this. So we have these authors here who have controversy behind their books. People say that their books is theoretical, it's not true, and so on and so forth. All right, but when I began to do research on who I was, I ran across this word culture. And I looked the word culture up on the internet, of course, Google it, and then this book popped up. All right, this book popped up, and this book is called The Celebrity of the Jews. All right, The Celebrity of the Jews. This particular book right here popped up. I didn't know anything about it, wasn't looking for it. It popped up as a Google search as I was searching this word culture, and I wanted to know what is this word. Okay, so here's the book, and it says The Celebrity of the Jews, a glance at the historical circumstance of the Jewish people from the destruction of Jerusalem to the present day. All right, and then this book was written, or at least the dates that are on this particular book is 1887, and also there's a date of 1899. So I'm assuming that somewhere in between these particular time frames that this book was penned or written down. Okay, and so let's get right into it, because I want this video to be short. But in the midst of that, I do want to mention or show you this prophecy just before we get into it. Okay, I want to read this particular prophecy, all right, just before we get into the book. And it says, and we're going to go straight to the scripture, Genesis 9:27. It's underlined right there on your screen. It says, God shall enlarge Japheth. All right, he shall enlarge Japheth. In other words, he shall expand, he shall grow, multiply, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem. He shall dwell in the tents of Shem. Now, Japheth, he's talking also as relates to enlarge. That means his descendants shall increase, all right, expand, okay, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem. Now, the he shall dwell is representing his descendants, okay, is representing his descendants, because we know that Shem had not established to the had not the land which was Canaan, which they would actually inhabit, okay, that God promised to give them. We know that that land had not yet been given over to them until Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and come on the scene, to where they begin to get into the land. Of course, the children of Israel, and then we end up in Egypt, and then from Egypt we end into Canaan through the conquest of Joshua. All right. So we know that Japheth himself did not dwell in the land or in the tents of Shem, but his descendants actually could be dwelling in the land of Shem. Okay, and we know again, Shem is the prophetic line that Eber would come through, and ultimately Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob would come through, and the promise of the land of Jerusalem, Israel, would be their homeland. All right, now that's the prophecy. So as I'm reading through this particular book, The Celebrity of the Jews, I run across a very interesting portion on page 85 and going into page 86. I run into that I think the prophecy that God spoke, that Moses penned, okay, then we see a supernatural event that actually takes place in this particular book concerning the king of the Khazar empire. Okay, so a supernatural event takes place to begin to forge a Jewish kingdom in the area of the European Japheth region. Okay, so we see here's the map, the descendants of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And again, if this map is accurate, we see at the top middle in green, okay, you see Gomer, Magog. You see Ashkenaz coming down between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. All right, then you see Meshach, you see Ashkenaz again, you see Tagomar, all right, you see Tubal, all right, you see Gomer again, and you see Rephtha, Teres, and so on and so everything in the green. These are the descendants of Japheth. That's in green. Okay, now again, if this map is accurate, all right, if it's accurate, it's in the right place as relates to these particular family units in the area of Turkey and so forth. So let's move on and let's look at this book. We'll start reading right there where it says, the lively sympathy which Rabbi Khazar felt for Jews and Judaism did not, however, limit itself to Spain. So there is a branch of Hebrews that are actually in Spain, all right? And we know this to be true. We know in 1492, that the Jews that were in Spain, Portugal, of course, during the Inquisition, actually were being removed, put out, all right? There was a decree that they should leave Spain, all right? That's in 1492 by Isabella. So it says, limited itself to Spain, but extended beyond the borders of his country, as was to be expected from a man of such eminence. He was particularly interested in hearing from time to time from Oriental travelers that there was a Jewish kingdom in Asia, ruled by a Jewish king. When ships came from distant lands, Rabbi Khazar never neglected to assertions whether Jews dwelt in the native country of these strangers and how they fared. Once he was told by merchants from Khorasan that such a Jewish kingdom did really exist, and that the land was called Khozars. Rabbi Khazar decided to send a letter to the king of Khozars, to the king of Khozars. So we have a rabbi, Khazar, deciding to write a letter to the king of the Khozar with the ambassadors who came from the king of Savanian to Adu Rahman, among whom were two Jews, okay, Saul and Joseph. All right, two Jews who were named Saul and Joseph. Okay, so you have a Jewish kingdom that existed, and this rabbi is writing to king, all right, of the Khazar, and it goes on in this letter to King Joseph. Rabbi Khazar told him he had come to write to him and begged him for information respecting the Khazaric kingdom, its condition, extent, and institutions, how the people conducted themselves in warfare on the Sabbath. Fortunately, not only was Rabbi Khazar's letter received, but the answer of the Khazaric king also reached Rabbi Khazar. So in other words, Rabbi Khazar is writing the Khazaric king. All right, and the letter gets to the Khazaric king, and then the Khazaric king writes back, okay, to the rabbi. All right, then it goes on, it says, a German Jew by the name Jacob ben Eleazar deserves the credit of having accomplished this happy result. The letter was to this effect: the king tells him that his nation is derived from Japheth. The king tells him that his nation is derived from Japheth. So here we have Japheth, all right, which what we know in Genesis, all right, chapter 10. We know Genesis chapter 10, Japheth. And notice it uses one of the names of the son, and it says, and then from Togomar, who had 10 sons, one of whom was named Khazar. So now we see that Togomar had a son, his name was Khazar. And so this king, as we will continue to read, is a descendant of the Khazar. Okay, it says two of the others being named Belgar and Avar. All right, so again, these are Togomar, these are his sons. All right, it says one of was named Khazar, and the other being named Belgar and Avar. One of the kings called Bulan once had a remarkable dream. He was a good man, but a heathen. And an angel appeared to him in the night with a message that God had heard his prayer. So we have King, all right, Bulan. Let's go back and grab this. It says one of the kings called Bulan once had a remarkable dream. Okay, so this is what I was stating earlier, that there was a dream that was given to King Bulan of the Khazar Empire, and this is what happened when this angel showed up, all right, and appeared to him in the night with a message that God had heard his prayers and would lead him in the right path. At the request of the king, the same message was given by the angel to a certain great man, and both declared their intentions to the people, and they all embraced the Jewish religion. So you have there is a branch in Togomar that was connected, all right, to the Khazaric kingdom, and there was a king called Bulan, who had an encounter with an angel, who was an heathen, but yet he had prayer life, and he had an encounter with an angel. And in this encounter with an angel, all right, there was a conversion that took place from the heathenistic ways and practices that actually caused him to believe in the way of the Jewish or the Hebrew Israelite way. And then the same angel went to another great man and declared and spoke to him the same message. And they both declared their intentions to their people. And they all embraced the Jewish religion. With divine assistance, I'm reading again, taken from the middle of the page, all right, about midways of the page. It says, with divine assistance, he was enabled to build a great temple similar to that of Jerusalem. The Greek emperor and the Mohammedan caliph sent their representative to convert the king to their beliefs. So now we have Christianity and we have Mohammedans who are coming into the region, and they wanted to, when he says the Greek emperor, that is a connection to the Christian or Christianity, okay, Christianity and the Mohammedans. They sent representatives to convert them to their beliefs. But look at what took place. It says the manner in which he convinced them of the superiority of the religion he had embraced was ingenious. He first asked the Christian which of the two was preferable, Mohammedan or Judaism, and in which book they placed their greatest confidence, the Quran or the Bible. The answer was that Judaism, being the fountainhead, was in every way preferable. He received the same answer from the Mohammedan, who was asked whether he would prefer Christianity to Judaism. He thus convinced them out of their own mouths that he had chosen the best religion. The king then named in order the king then named in order the kings who had succeeded Bulan, all right, from which it appeared that he was the 12th descendant from the first convert to Judaism. So this means that there's been 12 generations of kings who are walking in the way of Judaism from the Khazarian Empire. Wow. So we have 12 kings who had been walking in the way of Judaism. Direct descendants of King Bulan, who were the one that had the encounter with the angel. And from there onward, we have this Khazarian Empire who had embraced Judaism and the ways of the Jews. And Jews, all right, or let's just say that the tribe of Judah had been in that area. Okay? And actually, I believe that this book is giving us truth, because the way this is being laid out in this book, it doesn't look like is there any bias. It doesn't look like there's any trying to make something be something that is not, or something that is not to be something. It seems like the writer is simply quoting, because at that time, you know, we didn't have anti-Semitic anything that I'm aware of, okay, that I'm aware of now. So there's no, you know, bias here. He's just giving the history of what took place in the Khazarian Empire. Now that's interesting, because going back to these books that I had on the screen in the beginning, this is what they allude to. This is what they say in these particular books, that there was a Khazarian Empire that embraced the Jewish religion. And they're saying that the Jews that we know today are people who are descended from them. So we just found out in this book there were 12 kings who, from the first king, Bulan, who actually had a dream, who actually had an angelic encounter. And from this dream and from this angelic encounter, they embraced the Jewish religion. Now, this is what the book of the Celebrity of the Jews actually tell us. This is what this book is telling us. And this book, again, was written, or at least published, between 1887 and then we have another 1899. All right, somewhere thereabout. So let's finish reading this. Okay, so we're gonna start at the almost midway of the page on the right hand side here, where it says, he thus convinced them out of their own mouths that he had chosen the best religion. The king then named in order the kings who had succeeded Bulan, from which it appeared that he was the 12th descendant from the first convert to Judaism. He also mentioned the establishment of schools and synagogues. Then follows a description of the country and the power wedded by him. It was situated on the river Atil, that is the Volga, and extended to the Black Sea, which for a long time afterwards continued to be called the Sea of Khazaria. So again, this is what we're talking about. We see the Black Sea and we see whose descendants is in this area. Okay, so it's to me, it seems like we have some historical proof, some historical documents that there was a kingdom, there was a Khazar kingdom that embraced Jewish. In other words, they embraced the Jewish way, the Jewish religion. All right, the Hebrew Israelite religion, converted, and have 12 kings who are also staying connected to Judaism from Khazaria. So this is what we have come to discover in this historical document, that there is a validation of European kings converts or converting to Judaism with all his people. Is this a link to the Ashkenazi Jews of today? That's all I'm saying. Is this a link to the European Jews of today? Is this the link? And if so, we have historical document, historical proof. With that being said, I'm going to sign off. If there be any questions, if there be any comments, please post them below, and we will continue down the path of rewriting history. We will continue down this path, and we'll try to glean as much as we can as relates to truth, because truth set people free. And again, I know there was a late night post, but I wanted to do a shorter version of the video that I did earlier. And so with that being said, I hope and pray that this was an insight to you, and I hope and pray that as we continue to do such videos like this, that as information and revelation, insight, historical references, prophecy, and the scripture is unfolded to us, we will come away with a different understanding of things and a different understanding of scripture that I think will help us to process where we are in today's time frame, and as it relates to prophecy and how to actually understand why things are the way they are, why there are certain things being pushed right now. It's because there is a an awakening that's happening. So, with that being said, you all, God bless you all. Till next time we share here live. God bless.